Welcome to our Smart English conversation. I'm your host, Mr. Alex, and today we have a very special guest, one of my favorite students, Jessica, who's joining us to talk about one of the most popular topics around the world, sports. More specifically, we're going to talk about football, or as some of you might say, soccer. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mr. Alex. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here. I really love football, so I think this is going to be fun.
That's great, Jessica. So tell us first, why do you love football so much?
Well, I think football is exciting because it brings people together. It doesn't matter where you're from, everyone can understand a good match. And when your team scores a goal, the feeling is just amazing.
Exactly. It's one of those sports that connects people from all over the world. Now, before we go deeper into the passion side of football, I'd like to talk about something that many English learners find tricky, the rules. Understanding football rules is also a great way to practice English vocabulary. So, are you ready to help me explain them, Jessica?
Sure. Let's go. I love talking about soccer because I love playing women's soccer.
All right. First things first. Football or soccer for English is played between two teams, right?
Yes. Each team has 11 players on the field, including the goalkeeper.
Perfect. And the main goal, no pun intended, is to score by getting the ball into the opponent's net. Players can use any part of their body except their hands or arms, unless they're the goalkeeper, who can use their hands inside the penalty area.
Exactly. And I remember, the game usually lasts 90 minutes, divided into two halves of 45 minutes each, right?
That's correct. And if the match ends in a tie, depending on the type of competition, they might add extra time or even go to a penalty shootout to decide the winner. Now, let's talk about the field. Jessica, can you describe what a football field looks like?
Sure. The field is rectangular, covered with grass, and has two goals, one at each end. There are white lines marking different areas, the center circle, the penalty box, and the goal area.
Perfect description. And let's not forget the corner arcs, where players take corner kicks. Also, all players wear a uniform that includes a shirt, shorts, socks, shin guards, and football boots. The goalkeeper usually wears a different color so that referees and players can identify them easily. Now, every game needs someone to make sure the rules are followed. Who's that, Jessica?
That's the referee. He or she is the person in charge of the match. The referee makes the final decisions about fouls, goals, and discipline.
Yes, and the referee is helped by assistant referees, also known as linesmen, who stay along the sidelines to check for offside or when the ball goes out of play. Speaking of offside, that's one of the trickiest rules. How would you explain it?
It's a bit hard to explain, but I'll try. A player is offside if they are closer to the opponent's goal than both the ball and the second-to-last defender when the ball is passed to them, unless they're in their own half or level with the defender.
Excellent explanation, Jessica. That's one of the most debated rules even among professionals. The idea is to stop players from just waiting near the goal to get easy chances. It keeps the game fair and strategic. Let's move on to fouls. What happens when a player breaks the rules?
If a player makes a dangerous tackle, pushes, or uses their hands, the referee can give a free kick to the other team. If the foul happens inside the penalty area, then it's a penalty kick.
Exactly. And if the foul is serious, the referee can show yellow cards or red cards. A yellow card is a warning, and a red card means the player must leave the field immediately. No replacement.
Right. 2 yellow cards also mean a red card. I've seen that happen a lot in big matches.
Yes, especially when emotions run high. Football is passionate, but respect for rules and opponents is key. Now, Jessica, let's quickly review the different ways the game can restart. Can you name a few?
Sure. There's a kickoff at the beginning of each half and after every goal. Then there's a throw-in when the ball goes out of the sidelines. A goal kick when the ball crosses the goal line after being touched by the attacking team, and a corner kick when it's last touched by the defending team.
Excellent summary. And don't forget the drop ball, which happens when play is stopped for reasons other than fouls. For example, if a player gets injured and the referee stops the game. Now that we've covered the rules, let's talk about football's global influence. Jessica, which teams or players inspire you the most?
Well, I really admire Lionel Messi for his skill and humility, and Cristiano Ronaldo for his determination and physical strength. I also like to watch the Premier League and the World Cup, of course.
Those are great choices. Football legends like Messi, Ronaldo, and others have made this sport a language of its own. But let's not forget about women's football. It's been growing fast and gaining more attention in recent years. Have you followed any of the top female football players, Jessica?
Yes, absolutely. I've been watching the Women's World Cup and some of the top leagues. One of the most famous female players right now is Alex Morgan from the USA. She's an incredible forward and a real leader on the field. Another player is Marta from Brazil. She's often referred to as the best female player in history.
Great picks. Alex Morgan and Marta are legends in women's football. And the growth of women's football has been incredible. More and more countries are investing in women's leagues, and the World Cup has become a huge event for women's sports. It's inspiring to see how far female athletes have come. Women's football has its own unique story of innovation. From the early days when women were not even allowed to play the sport professionally, to now being a central part of the football world.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's definitely a great time to be a fan of women's football. And as the sport grows, I think we'll see more female athletes creating their own history and breaking records.
Exactly. And some countries are already leading the way, like the USA and Sweden, with strong women's teams. And there's even a couple of female football players already having a couple of titles in their careers, like the legendary Abby Wambach from the USA. As more people support women's football, it will only continue to improve and inspire new generations of young girls to get into the game.
Absolutely. I think in the future, we'll see more girls playing football at the highest level. It's an exciting time for the sport.
Now, back to the men's side of the sport. Do you know who is considered the most famous football player in the world?
That's a tough question. I think right now, Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are probably the most famous. But if we talk about history, maybe Pelé or Diego Maradona too.
Excellent answer. Let's talk a little about that. Pelé from Brazil is often called the king of football. He scored over 1,000 goals in his career, which is just incredible. Cristiano Ronaldo, on the other hand, has already scored more than 870 official goals, making him one of the highest scorers in history. And Lionel Messi is not far behind, with more than 800 goals and a World Cup title for Argentina.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know they scored that many goals. It's unbelievable how consistent they are.
It really is. These players inspire millions, not only because of their talent, but because of their discipline and passion. Now, here's another question for you. Do you know which country started football?
That's really interesting. So, England is like the father of football.
Exactly. And that's why England is also home to one of the most famous leagues in the world. The Premier League, where many of the best players compete. Correct. Modern football was born in England in the 19th century. Of course, ancient versions of kicking a ball existed in China and other countries long before, but the official rules, known as the laws of the game, were first written in England in 1863 by the Football Association. Now, another question. Do you know which country is most famous for the World Cup?
Yes, I think that's Brazil.
Yes, Brazilian players are known for their creativity and joy on the field. But other countries have also had great success. For example, Germany and Italy both have 4 World Cup titles, and Argentina now has 3, after winning in 1978, 1986, and 2022 with Messi.
I watched that last final. Argentina versus France, what a game. It was so emotional. Messi finally won the World Cup, and the fans were crying.
Yes, that match was unforgettable. It showed how football can unite emotions. Happiness, tension, pride, all in one game. Before we finish, let me ask you something, Jessica. What do you think football teaches us, besides the game itself?
That's a good question. I think football teaches teamwork, discipline, and patience. You can't win alone. You need to trust your teammates. It also teaches respect for others, even if they're from another country or culture.
Beautifully said. Football truly mirrors life. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but what matters is learning, growing, and staying fair.
Yes, and it's also a universal language. Even if you don't speak the same words, you understand the game.
Exactly. That's what makes football so special. Well, that's all the time we have for today's episode of Smart English Conversation. Thank you, Jessica, for joining us and helping explain the rules and history of football. You did an excellent job.
Thank you, Mr. Alex. I really enjoyed being here. I hope the listeners learned something new and feel more confident talking about football in English.
I'm sure they did. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Remember, every time you watch or play football, you can also practice your English. Try describing a match, talking about your favorite players, or explaining the rules to a friend. Until next time, keep learning, keep playing, and keep speaking English. Goodbye, everyone. Well, that's all the time we have for today's episode of Smart English Conversation. Thank you, Jessica, for joining us and helping explain the rules and history of football. You did an excellent job.